it wasn't just about Obanikoro speaking or Fayose speaking or the other characters involved in it. You could see their character in their voice. You could just tell, you know, in my head, I could tell where they were sitting, how they were behaving. You know, it was all scripted, planned out. So they had Fayose come in and say, I don't want to be part of this meeting, you know, because this army general doesn't even listen to me. You know?
Let me just pause you there and let's take a listen to that tape. We'll just take a listen to part of the tape now. It's an audio tape. Let's take a listen.
I now call you. I said, what instruction do you give to your guy? What was the instruction you give to your guy? Which instruction did that give to when that was?
I said that I should call when His Excellency is going home as a spokesman. Any other thing he need tomorrow during the election, we should provide it.
And we let me. So what will happen? Now, when you know, I will begin from this beginning. If you want to tell me, let me tell you that I don't want to go against him. And we always say, I was not going. I was at the beginning of this arrangement. I was in the house, 2 hours and 1%. And told me he has briefed me. And gave me his number, because I never met him before. And he told me, well, say that he will perform, and if you have any issues, call me. And he told me that I have very clear to him that you are do not have police election. People understand to me, I've never met him before like that. Will you call me with instruction from me? Each time we still listen to this man, this almost everything is clear. I don't want to know where we are now. You know, we have so many meetings. I don't believe that you have been doing this decision now. The idea of having a ship, work together, everybody should work together. Then, all there are some circumstances, whatsoever, whatever it is, all there are some observer. So I'm happy man tomorrow night. This guy is your limit. If I'm not happy at the same time, I am not there for sympathy. I'm here on assignment to do by the person. So that when next time we want to ask somebody, no, it will be you. It's one thing I want to tell you. So we are anticipating tomorrow. What did you do new? We have the mail. We have to do these people
Well, by the way, we understand Caleb Olubalade was actually not there. That it was supposed to be Jalili Adesina, right? Okay, yeah.
So, secondly, one aspect of it that was very instructive was that I thought about Bola Ige, and you know, 2 of the guys who were in this meeting on this tape were accused of having a hand in his murder. And I just thought, this guy sat down and planned the death of Bola Ige, and the guy was just killed, and today justice has not been served. And they must have done several other things like this, you know, just ordering soldiers around to commit crime. Probably you cannot imagine what they have been doing to the police and other security agencies. And
it's quite embarrassing that a military general, brigadier general, will be treated, because he was actually hassled. There's no question.
I had no doubt that it seems as if they had a gun to his head, because there was a point where his voice cracked and he said, "Do you want me to cry?" You know, and I couldn't believe it that a brigadier general in the army would, in the midst of civilians, as they call them, bloody civilians, be asking to be allowed to cry, instead of, you know, in my view, either walking out or taking a very stern action against them. But this happened that he wasn't the only person there. He had officers who accompanied him there, you know, which was mentioned to us in another interview I did with the captain who recorded this. And those officers were, in fact, more angry than their brigadier general superior, because they got there and they just couldn't stand it. And that's what prompted Captain Coley to record this conversation and let the world know that the military has been thoroughly bastardized. And they were going to repeat the same thing in Osun State. And apparently, they were going to repeat the same thing in Nigeria on February 14th if the election had held. But we were lucky to lay our hands on this tape and let the whole country know about it.
Speaking to Captain Coley now, for him, did he tell you, didn't he realize the risk he was taking when he actually recorded and then made up his mind to release this tape to you?
Well, he did. He said why he was making efforts to release the tape, particularly to General Buhari, because he wanted to release to someone who was in the military or who had been in the military. They had tapped his phone and recorded some of the conversations. So when he came back to see his Brigadier General boss, he told him that before you kill me, I'll kill you. And they had actually sent a military police officer to go get him arrested. And the guy was, well, kind enough to call him and said, look, I've been asked to bundle you, tied and handcuffed for punishment. So wherever you are, you better get out because these guys are going to kill you. I think he took that risk knowing that it was dangerous to do what he did, but he also realized that he needed to do it for the Nigerian people. And that's where I think we have to respect this captain for doing what he did. And another thing I think is that what he did will make more people in the army or the security services who have little conscience and courage to do this type of, resistance against illegitimate orders, because they were asked to do something wrong. But ab initio, from the beginning, this whole thing was designed to rig. And if you look at the characters, it's not only designed to rig, it's designed to kill. The characters that were involved, you had Chris Uba, who had kidnapped the governor before in Anambra State, engaged in wanton destruction in Anambra State, killing, brought in as the ringleader of this group with his own set of soldiers from his state.
That's Anambra.
And yes, actually they say he came from the 82 division. That's where they gave him. So yeah. He brought in money, weapons, and came into the state, and he was, coordinating the rest of them. Now you could hear the general saying, I've been having emails, conversations with Chris. Chris doesn't even believe me and all of that. And then he meets with the southwestern arrowheads of murder, criminal activity. I can say that anywhere. People like Iyiola Omisore having been indicted before. You had Adesina sitting down there. You had Fayose, who during his first term as governor had been accused and indicted for several murders and corruption. And you had Obanikoro, who also has a very, very controversial past from Lagos. All of these characters sitting down there and plotting against the people of Ekiti State and plotting against democracy. What they did, and that was recorded on this tape, could have brought down a government in a sane society.
And that's quite true. And yes, unfortunately, nobody has resigned over this. Nobody...
I mean, as we speak, Obanikoro's name is sitting in front of the Nigerian Senate to be approved.
And he sure would get their approval.
He will take a bow again. In fact, I won't be surprised if the APC senator sitting on the Senate refuse to show up, give some excuse as to why they won't oppose him. But it's important that people know that he might become a minister again. And if people don't face consequences for this criminal type of activities, you get even a larger scale of criminal involvement.
And talking about Obanikoro, he's actually threatened to sue you and Sahara reporters. Has he done that? Have you gotten any?
Not that I'm aware of. My hunch is that he was threatening to sue to shut up more people who would like to talk about this. And probably if he shows up at Senate and they ask him questions about the tape, he will say, well, I'm in court. But not only has Sahara reporters not sent his summons, all the other individuals and organizations, news media platforms that he threatened to sue told me they haven't received a summons yet. So maybe he just sued them in spirit. I don't know. But I do not doubt the fact that there are courts who engage in this kind of ridiculous and frivolous suits. And what we say in that regard is that we meet in court. He also threatened to sue us in New York, and we have capable hands who can take care of that. We have no doubt that, as they say in Yoruba, that Tishigidiba fe shirete, what do you make which means is that, a clay, an image made in clay, if he wants to disintegrate, he will ask to be taken to a swimming pool.
Swimming pool, and
yes.
which is quite true.
Yeah.
Now, what do you make of Fayose's reaction? Because we saw Fayose actually coming out at a political gathering saying, well, that, if you actually listen to that tape very well, you would discover that what I was actually only trying to do was to prevent rigging. I'm quoting Fayose now. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he said.
But that was different from his initial reaction, where he ridiculously and stupidly claimed that it was fabricated by voice software. So now he has admitted that this was his voice, and it is not up to him to determine or define what he did. This is what law enforcement could have done. This is what public inquiry could have done. But we have been denied of all of that. But
are you surprised that we haven't seen that up till this moment, the security agencies in this country have done nothing about this audio tape that is out there in the public?
The reason why that is happening is because all of the security agencies are involved in this kind of criminal conspiracy against Nigerian people. And when that happens, what do you expect? You can't expect the same people to judge them, so you can't expect them to investigate or prosecute themselves. Because if you look deep down, this is what has been happening in elections, especially in the last few years. This is their own scientific way of rigging. I mean, nobody, not many of us could have suspected, even though we had, some doubt as to how he won the election, that they could have rigged the election in this very, very clean and scientific way, that they left no trace, except until now, of how that abracadabra was done by Fayose, the Nigerian military. And also, do not forget that the president was directly indicted on this. And his reaction so far was also that this was fabricated when the Wall Street Journal asked him about this. So they're all involved from the top to the bottom. Like I said, maybe someday we'll have an opportunity to have people face the consequences of what they did here.
Are you surprised that the people of Ekiti State, you would have expected that by now there will be protests and all of that in Ekiti, but we're not seeing that. And some people are saying, look, that's one of the reasons why you could say Fayose actually won the election and that it wasn't rigged, that if it was actually rigged, you would have seen people come out on the street and, protest.
Well, I think you have to understand that a lot of people have been so abused over the years that they do not even understand the character of abuse anymore. I'm seeing across this country a lot of what we call the Stockholm Syndrome, where people resubmit themselves to punishment or actually fall in love with people who are abusing and punishing them, who have brought pain and destruction and sadness upon them. It happens in every facet of public life in this country. So I'm not surprised. It's the same Ekiti people who have come to accept what is defined as stomach infrastructure. But, behind all of that is this mighty federal government that has made it possible for the likes of Fayose to even be candidates in election and win election the way and manner we've seen it. Let me tell you something. The American society is still dealing with acts of terror committed by the KKK, which is the white supremacy groups. The acts that were carried out in 1960s till now.
Long time
Some
ago.
of those guys are just going to jail now. But in those days, also you would have asked the same question: why are people not fighting against KKK when they bomb churches? Why don't they protest? Why do they go back to the same church and just act as if nothing happened? If people are internalizing pain in this country, it doesn't mean that they accept it. They're just looking for the right opportunity to exhale. And you saw that happen in Burkina Faso. Who would ever think that's just what Compaore had done almost every election season, that he would try it and in 3 days he'll be out of power. And it just took a few cans of gasoline, and people on the street and the army unable to control it. And that part of the world is today history. So I don't think that the mere fact that we are not seeing protests in Ekiti today means that people of Ekiti in general have accepted this.
All right.
They're probably looking for their own day.
All right. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, I want your thoughts now on the postponed elections. I'm talking about the controversial. It's becoming controversial now, our elections, even though it's not taking place. Stay with us and go away. We'll be right back. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. I'm still with Sowore right here in the studio of TV 360. Now let's talk about the elections. Now we were supposed to vote on the 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day, and you know, just days before that, we were told the election wasn't going to take place again. Of course, INEC has come out to say, look, this election was postponed because the security chiefs actually wrote to it saying it would not be able to guarantee security on election day, that it is busy with the insurgency in the northeast. But then we also saw the president, for instance, coming out to say